Shalom, shalom. Call halal Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Waha, Rachakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and bishops, elders of Great Millstone. Peace and blessings to Yakim, pushing his word and truth and sincerity throughout the four corners of the earth. This is Amathia from Great Millstone, Dallas. And I wanted to go into a lesson about the kingdom of heaven, where it will be servants that will be serving the nation of Israel, aka is going to actually be, they're going to be serving, it's going to be slavery, but it's going to be done righteously, and that's really, and say slave, it's a servant, and when you're done righteously, you be like during the time of Abraham and his servant, and he decided to stay with him, and he put an awe in his ear, after that's 7 years after a period of time. I believe it was 7 years after a period of time, you can go into, you can be released. See, that was done in righteous. Now, what we see today is who we see that Esau, Edom, so-called white men, and all these other nations that it says in Psalms 83 came together to keep us, let's just get it. This is Psalms 83. All right. And I'm going to go ahead and start it. I'm going to start at verse 3. You know what? I'm just going to read through it here. All right. I'm going to start at verse 2. It say, "For lo, thy enemies make a tumult, and they brought hate. And they that hate thee have lifted up the head. They have taken crafty counsel against thy people, and consulted against the hidden ones." And those are who? The nation of Israel. Okay. As we see over here in verse 3 in the NLT to your right, it says they devise crafty schemes against your people. They conspire against your precious ones. Okay. And it says here, verse 4, "Come, they say, and let us wipe out Israel as a nation. We will destroy the very memory of its existence." All right. So they said, and you see over here in the KJV to the left, it says that Israel won't be no more. So that's what they did. And so it's Esau, the Edom, that is the head tribe of today, because the earth was given to the hands of the wicked. And the wicked is the wicked seed of Esau, which are the Edomites. And they rule the world today, starting with their head tribe, which is the Amalekites, who are your small hats, And they conspire with the other nation, and when you keep reading, it goes into the other nations. How the Ishmaelites, the Moabites, the Hagarenes, and on down, so forth and so on. All right, and all these nations, as you read up here, verse 6, going to the tabernacle of Edom, and of Ishmael, and of Moab, and the Hagarenes, Gebal, and Ammon, and Amalek, Philistines, and the inhabitants of Tyre, Ashur. All right, and so forth. You keep reading. All these nations have came together and had in some form or fashion into, subjection, captivity, under their rule of thumb. So you telling me that in the kingdom of heaven, all right, as it says in Isaiah 9, there's going to be a government that's going to be no end, with Yahweh Shai sitting on the throne of David, King David. All right. And the elect, which is that governing body that's going to be ruling, we ain't have nobody under us, just in the nation of Israel as a whole, because we're going to be a nation of kings and priests. We're going to be in new bodies. We're going to be setting up for the earth to rule and flourish in righteousness. And you trying to say we ain't gonna have nobody that's, we're gonna go ahead and do this ourselves, and the Lord put our enemies to have servants? Come on, that don't make any sense. All right, this is Revelations 13. All right, and 10. Slocky. And what did it say here? It says, he that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity, and he that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. Here is the patience and the faith of the saints. All right. So you must be, and would you say he that leadeth into captivity must be, must shall go into captivity? It's like it said, he that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. It's gonna happen. And when has Esau Edom, since they came out of the this rulership during the time of the Greeks, all right, the Romans, and then like I said, now that little head and rose up again, okay, which is America, and it ain't even just America; it's the whole world. All right, Job 9:24, they have consumed the whole world, and when you read in Genesis 25, I'm slacking 25 up until 27. When you get to chapter 27 of Genesis, going to the blessings that Isaac had with his son, which is all right, Jacob and Esau. Okay, he mentioned that they would be what? They were basically both had to do basically to rule the earth, the whole earth. The only two nations that would rule the entire earth is the nation of Esau and the nation of Israel. But it goes into where their time was going to be short. Okay? Let me go ahead and grab something here. This is, and it's going to come back on what I'm going into. There's going to be servants that will be serving the nation of Israel. It's like where I'm going into, I know what I'm going to. This is 2nd Ezra 6 and 9. All right. It says, for Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. So the end of Esau's what? Rulership. Okay. Read verse 7. It says, then answered I and said, what shall be the parting asunder of the times? And when shall be the end of the first, and the beginning of it that followeth? So when should be the end of this rulership and the beginning of it that followeth? The ones that's going to be ruling the dew of the earth, all right, is the nation of Israel, and nation prior to the nation of Israel will be who? The nation of Edom, and that's the blessing that was given in Genesis 27. When you read chapter 27, it goes into the nation of Israel. When Jacob received the blessing, and we know his name was Jacob's name was changed to Israel while he was wrestling with the angel, and Esau received that blessing. He cried. All right, he cried like a little bitch. Yeah. But he cried and he went weeping. But he was weak as hell to give it up. And that perpetual hatred has reigned on for time after time throughout history. It's continuing. All right. So when we go back over here to Revelations 13:10, is that he that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. All right. So we're gonna have all the nations under our rulership. Okay. They're gonna be under the nation of Israel. Okay. It says, he that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. And he that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. Here is the patience and the faith of the saints. All right. So, and when the kingdom of heaven, like I said, during the time that we're going to be in the kingdom of heaven, which is going to be here on earth, where the earth is going to need new management. Okay. That's why it says in Sirach 10:8, the unrighteous deal in riches gotten by deceit, the kingdom will be translated from one kingdom to another, which can be translated into Isaiah 9:6. All right. Where the Lord said will be a ruler, will be no end. All right. And we'll go back to this too after I read. This is Isaiah 9 in verse 6. It says, for a child is born unto us, a son is given, and the government shall be upon his shoulders, and this is going into Yahushua. And his name shall be called Wonderful, Counselor, the Mighty Power, the Everlasting Father, the Prince of Peace, and of his increase of his government and peace there shall be no end upon the throne of David and upon his kingdom, to order it and to establish it with judgment. Now, who are going to be judging if we're not going to have the other nation under us? Because, like I say, Israel, we're going to be on point. You know, we're going to have the laws in our inward part. So we're going to be on point. Always on point, the whole nation. Okay? So we're going to be judging. If nobody's doing no wrong or going off, then you wouldn't need to judge, would you? All right, so it says down up right here, it says, and establish it with judgment and with justice, and henceforth even forever the zeal of Yahweh, power of hosts, will perform this. Okay, Yahweh Shem Yahushua is going to get established upon the earth, and there's going to be no end to it, a forever rulership. All right, and we're going to have servants. Okay, this is Isaiah 60. And I'm going to jump on down because this is going into this. You see it say a glorified Zion. Okay? And who is that? That's the nation of Israel, Zion. Now I'm going to get to it here. It says, verse 5, it says, let me see here. I'll start right here. This is verse 5, Isaiah 60 and 5. It says, then thou shalt see and flow together, and thine heart shall fear, and the enlargement because of the abundance of the sea shall be covered unto thee. The forces of the Gentiles shall come upon thee, and the multitude of camels shall cover thee, and I'm right here now, the dromedaries of the median of the ephah, and all thy from Sheba shall come. They shall bring gold and incense, and they shall show forth the praises of Yahweh, Bashem Yahushua. All the flocks of Kedar shall be gathered together unto thee. The rams of Nebaioth shall minister unto thee. They shall come up with acceptance of my altar, and I will glorify the house of my glory. And that is going to who? The nation of Israel. All right? The descendants of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Okay? I'm going to jump. I don't want to see. Let's jump right here. It says, and the sons, verse 10, it says, and the sons of strangers shall build up thy walls. And their kids. You hear that? Let me read that again. And the sons of strangers shall build up thy walls. I want to just see what it says when you go to stranger. Yep. It's Nakar. It says foreign, alien, foreign, that which is foreign, foreigners, foreign God, aliens. So see, and I want to say one of Gar is the one is going into Israel. The car is going into the other nations when you go into those words. Okay. So it says strangers. All right. Shall build up thy walls, and the king shall minister unto thee. All right. And what do you go when you go into minister? It goes into serve. Okay. This is strong. Let me get it here. Sharath. Okay. Strong's 8334. It says Sharath, the minister, serve. That's what it is. You supposed it's who's gonna serve. When you minister, you're serving someone. Okay. And I'm gonna go back here. It says, and the kings shall minister unto thee, for in my wrath I smote thee, but in my favor I had mercy on thee. Therefore thy gates shall be open continually. They shall not be shut day nor night, that men may bring upon thee the forces of the Gentiles, and that the kings may be brought. Okay? And it says here, it says, for the nations and kingdoms that will not serve thee shall perish. Yea, the nations shall be utterly wasted. Okay? And I'm gonna go jump over here to verse 11 in the NLT. It says, your gates will be stay open day or night, day and night, to receive the wealth of many lands. The kings of the world will be led captives in a victory procession. For the nations that refuse to serve you will be destroyed. All right. You see, and even in verse 10 over here to the right, it say, foreigners will come and rebuild your towns, and their kings will serve you. And this is the NLT. It say, for though I have destroyed you in my anger, I will now have mercy on you through my grace. So that means they're going to be serving us. All right. The wealth of the Gentiles shall come to thee, shall bring thee gold, all right, incense, all these different things. Yeah. Matter of fact, the next chapter going into, let me see here, Isaiah 61 and 6, it says, but ye shall be named the priests of Yahweh Bashem Shai. Men shall call you the ministers of your power. Ye shall eat the riches of the Gentiles. And in their glory shall ye boast yourselves. Let me see. Should I keep reading it? Let me see here. I think that's what I was looking for. Let's say you're gonna eat the riches of the Gentiles. They're gonna have to bring, like during the time of Abraham, Melchizedek, you know, when you read those accounts, that's the order that's going to be established on it. The order of Melchizedek. It's going to be where when Abraham was given Melchizedek, what 10% or a portion of his, you know, going into the portion, you know, giving him a portion of. I think he had went and just got back from war, you know. I think he was helping the lands of Sodom and Egypt. I mean, Sodom and Gomorrah in those 5 cities that was warned. And he came back and he brought forth, like you say, brought forth the you know, the percentage and gave some to the king of righteousness. You know, he gave it to Melchizedek. And then when and that was the establishment of a priesthood. When you read about in Hebrews 7, that was going to be a governing body that was going to be brought all the way back before the Levitical priesthood. Then from there, you had the Levitical priesthood that was established, okay, because you went through Abraham, Isaac, and then Jacob, and then that 12 tribes, and the Levites became what, the priest. And from there, you know, you had to pay tithes to them. I don't know why I didn't think about saying tithes. You had to pay tithes to them, you know. That was even when you, and then, you know, like I said, Yahweh Shai, we're going to be a nation of kings and priests. So they're going to come into the land, our nation, the nation of Israel, and they're going to give those different, they're going to have to give their parts of their goods. You know, it may be some as far as when I mentioned earlier, incense. You know, it might be certain wealth that they've inherited as far as, like say, certain crops. You know, it's going to be certain things. We're gonna rejoice we're gonna be like good when they come up with some good tights. Like that. That was good. We're gonna bring them. We're gonna bring the other nations joy too, because it's gonna be a rulership that's gonna be established. As everything is gonna flourish. Like you said, they're not gonna have the laws and statutes and commandments in the inward part, so they'll still be subject to go off. But we still will be establishing, a righteous rulership, and it's gonna be servants that's gonna be under us. Okay. So the Lord said it. How they said that they will get punished if they don't basically they don't serve or they don't come up, and I think that's during the time of the Feast of Tabernacle, and Lord said, you know what, I'll get it. This is Zechariah. If they don't come up, what'll happen is they will basically be punished for it. All right. This is Zechariah 14 and 15. Let's gonna jump down to 16. It says, and if you read up, okay, let's read on, it might be, okay, I'll just get right to the point. I'll start at verse 16. It says, and it shall come to pass that everyone that is left of all the nations which came against Jerusalem shall even go up from year to year to worship the King, okay, Yahweh Shem Shah of hosts, and to keep his Feast of Tabernacle. That's what it was, the Feast of Tabernacle. And it shall be that whoso will not come up of all the families of the earth unto Jerusalem, you heard it, all the families of the earth, these other nations, if they don't come up to Jerusalem to worship the King, Yahweh Shem Shah of hosts, even upon them that shall be no rain. We're gonna give them a drought. There's gonna be a drought in their land if they don't come up. So it is gonna be consequences, because we're gonna be judging the other nations in the kingdom of heaven. All right. So with that, I'd like to give all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Waha, Rachakwadash. Double honors to the apostles of Great Millstone. Peace and blessings to you, Aki, in pushing his word in truth and sincerity. Shalom.